Living without my phone and relying solely on an LTE smartwatch was a surprisingly eye-opening experience. Imagine stepping out of your house without your phone. Sounds like a nightmare, right? But what if you did it on purpose? The idea of leaving behind my digital lifeline seemed absurd. How would I capture spontaneous moments, pass the time in queues, or stay informed during emergencies? Despite these concerns, I decided to leave my phone at home for a week. Armed only with an LTE-enabled smartwatch, this experiment was driven by a desire to reduce screen time and reconnect with the world around me. Like many of my generation, I find myself glued to my phone far too often. While it's essential for work, taking breaks can be refreshing. Minimalist phones never appealed to me because they lacked the features I rely on. An LTE smartwatch, however, seemed like a viable middle ground, enough connectivity to stay in touch without the constant distraction of a full smartphone. But here's where it gets controversial. Some might argue that a smartwatch is just a smaller version of the same problem. However, the reduced screen size and limited functionality forced me to be more intentional about my tech use. Day 1. The Apple Watch and its dependencies. I chose an Apple Watch paired with my iPhone 13 mini for this experiment. Initially, I considered using an Android phone and a Pixel watch. But adding an AI assistant seemed like too many variables. I envisioned myself sipping a cappuccino at a cafe, reading a newspaper, and enjoying the summer breeze. Reality, however, involved a lot of frustrated swiping on the tiny watch screen and mumbling to myself in public. The first afternoon was a mixed bag of emotions. I left my iPhone face down on the dining room table, only to rush back to set up Strava and Spotify. The Apple Watch's reliance on an iPhone was a constant reminder of its limitations. Once everything was set, I biked out, feeling both liberated and anxious. At the coffee shop, I discovered that typing on the watch's small keyboard was surprisingly accurate, though tedious. Voice input was better, but I felt self-conscious talking to my watch in public. By the end of day 1, I was feeling optimistic. Instead of mindlessly scrolling through my phone, I did some pencil and paper Sudoku puzzles, which felt oddly satisfying. Day 2. Smartwatch meets the real world. I cheated a little by carrying a second phone as an e-reader. It didn't have cellular data and was set to mimic an e-ink display, so I felt it aligned with the spirit of the challenge. I loaded up a book by Ali Wong and headed downtown to Pike Place Market. I powered off my iPhone and stashed it in my bag as a last resort emergency option. I soon realized that turning off my iPhone meant missing out on notifications that didn't have native watch apps. For example, I didn't get Slack messages, which was both a relief and a minor inconvenience. The watch's battery held up well, even through a 40-minute call with my sister. Picking up my kid from daycare without my phone was reassuring, knowing I could make emergency calls if needed. However, my old habits resurfaced when I reached for my phone to complete a Duolingo lesson. I spent more time than I should have scrolling through my phone afterward. I learned that setting boundaries for phone use, especially at bedtime, is crucial. Day 3. Navigating without a phone. My bus ride downtown was uneventful, but my anxiety flared up when I had to decide which stop to take. Normally, I'd pull out my phone to double-check, but with the watch, it was too cumbersome. I trusted my memory and got off at the right stop. Feeling triumphant, luckily, my friend helped out, but the experience highlighted the importance of having a backup plan. Days 4 through 7. Maintaining the balance. I gradually became more comfortable with the smartwatch, but I still brought my phone as a backup for tasks like finding a nearby restaurant or handling emergencies. Using Apple Maps on the watch while driving was surprisingly manageable, thanks to audio cues and haptic feedback. However, picking up an order from IKEA was tricky due to the lack of a phone number for check-in. I ended up using the e-ink phone to connect to the store's Wi-Fi. After a few days, I noticed a significant reduction in my impulse to reach for my phone. I started leaving it around the house more and turned to activities like listening to podcasts or solving Sudoku puzzles during downtime. These small changes have been beneficial. Lessons learned. This experiment required more planning and discipline than I anticipated. Being mindful of your destination and having a clear plan for getting home is crucial. Keeping the phone number for Uber service in your contacts and using tools like Casey Johnston's DIY dumb phone method can help. Charging your watch regularly is also important, and a larger watch model with better battery life is advisable. An AI assistant on your watch could be incredibly useful for tasks like checking your calendar or accessing Google Docs. Unfortunately, Siri isn't quite up to the task yet. While there's no single solution to our phone addiction, a combination of tools can help. A cellular-connected smartwatch is a valuable tool in this arsenal. Small changes, like adding enjoyable activities to your routine, can make a big difference. Practice is key, and I plan to continue using my cellular watch to create more opportunities for phone-free moments. And this is the part most people miss. Breaking bad habits is a continuous process. It's not about finding the perfect solution, but about consistently making small, positive changes. I encourage you to share your thoughts and experiences in the comments. Have you tried similar experiments? What worked for you and what didn't? Let's discuss.